right, y'all. Give praise, esteem, and honor. Most High Yahuwah. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Put this up in John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures. In them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Alahym in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. Another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and receive not the honor that comes from Alahym only? Do not think that I will accuse you. There's one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. But had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words? Praise be to Alahym. The doggone car tapped out, so trap was closed for the first time ever. But thanks be to Alahym, the trap is back open tonight. And we going and trap out of it, we shall. 1 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 14. These things write unto you, hoping to come unto you shortly. But if I tarry long, that you may know how you ought to behave yourself in the house of Alahym, which is the house of the living Alahym, the pillar and ground of the truth. And without controversy, great is the mystery of godliness. Alahym was manifest in the flesh, justified in the Ruach, seen of Malachim, preached unto Gentiles, believed on in the world, and received up into esteem. So we still talking about that. So I want y'all to look at something. I want you to come to Isaiah chapter 14, if you would. That's where I'll begin this process. You can pick it up at verse 13, if you would. For you said in your heart, I will ascend in the Shamahim. I will exalt my throne above the stars of Alahym. I will sit also upon the mountain of congregation in the sides of the north. I will send above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Well, the first thing that we're going to look at is like. And it is Dema, if you recall. Remember, it's to be like, or to resemble, or to make oneself like, to liken or compare. You have Dalit, you have Meme, and you have Hay. And you can see that the Ruach of life, which Yahusha has manifested through that sacrifice. Why is that important that you can see this Ruach of life that Yahusha has manifested through this sacrifice? Because you know that it said that Alahym was manifested in the flesh and justified by that very same Ruach. I want you to come over here to Romans chapter 8. From Romans 8 to Romans 13. Romans 8. Romans 13. I want Romans Romans 8 and probably about verse 26. Likewise, the Ruach also help our infirmities. For we know not what we ought to pray, know not what we should pray for as we ought, but the Ruach itself make intercession for us with groanings which cannot be uttered. He that searches the hearts know that which is the mind of the Ruach, because he make intercession for the saints according to the will of Alahym. And we know that all things work together for the good of them that love Alahym, and to them who are called according to his purpose. For him he did foreknow, he also did predestinate to be conformed to the image of his son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. Now, we talk about the Alahym head. Now, of course, it says that he will be like the Most High, or he will resemble the Most High. I can roll with that one too, young man. That is acceptable, especially when you look at the mighty one has made an entrance with greatness. That greatness is you becoming a son of Alahym because he told you that he will be called great. And there ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, what we're looking at when it's saying to resemble the Most High, because again, matter of fact, before we read Romans 13, I want you to come to John chapter 14. Slow, man. Hey, I forgot to hit you up. I listened to the whole statement, man. Jump with fire too, man. I listened to it the next day after you had sent it to me because my car been acting up, man. I jumped and aggravated. John chapter 14, verse 6. I see you went with a little different had Ant do a little different instrumentation than usual. I liked it. 14 and 6. John. Yahushua said unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man come unto Abba but by me. If you had known me, you should have known my Abba also. And henceforth you know him and see him and have seen him. Excuse me. Philip said unto him, Lord, show us the Abba, and it suffice us. Yahushua said unto him, I am so long time with you, and yet you have not known me, Philip. He that has seen Abba, have seen me, have seen Abba. How say you then, show us Abba? Now y'all remember. Tell you that man was made in the image and likeness of Alahym. Remember, it told you that Adam had a son Seth who was in his image and likeness. Text tells you how in the Epistle of Hebrews, how Yahushua is an express image of the person of Alahym and Shamahim. Because you will see that there is a Most High Alahym above your Alahym, which is Yahushua. But we will see places that Yahushua is also referred to as the Most High as well. And you will see that Yahushua was the Most High manifested in the flesh also. Nevertheless, might upset some people, might not. That's not in any of my concern. Let's continue. Believe you that I am in Abba and Abba in me. The words that I speak unto you, I speak not of myself, but Abba that dwell in me, he do the works. He that believe me that I am in Abba and Abba in me, or else believe me for the word's sake. Now, let's go to Romans 13. Why is this important? Number one, you see how he said you'll be conformed to his image, those who have predestinated, which takes us back to that conversation of what we had in Psalms 139 a couple of weeks back, refreshing your mind in that regard. The fact of the matter is this. We all must be like the Most High. Being like the Most High is to resemble him, to be in his likeness, or Dama. If you're not in his likeness or resemble him, you will not enter into the kingdom. You can let these dudes skin and grin and bend and do all the stuff that they want to talk about. But at the end of the day, you have to resemble him. And if you don't resemble him, you will perish. It's just that simple. Let me tell y'all something, man. I know I told you this before, but I mentioned it again the other day, so it's fresh in my mind. Book tell you this here in Matthew, man, if you got heavy laden and you got burdens, you need to lay them down. Hebrew chapter 12 tell you that the weight and the sin that easily besets you, to lay that down. I'm going to tell you something. A lot of people carry a lot of weight, a lot of burdens, and a lot of things. That ain't even sin. That ain't even unbelief. But it's things that have occurred to you during your time on this earth. And these things hinder you from coming into the presence of Alahym and the joy of Alahym and the fullness of Alahym from receiving his Ruach, because you have not laid those things down. And it does not allow the word to have its proper course. Like I mentioned to you last what I was Monday actually, so that was this week. About allowing a young man to have emotion. If he's upset, let him cry about it. Let him get that off his chest. See, when you got a whole bunch of stuff you pent up and you carrying. See, if you recall, right, when the ship was sinking, when Paul was on it, they threw all the weight off the boat, kept on sailing. Some of y'all got to throw the weight off the boat and let it sink. Watch it go down to the bottom of the ocean and let it stay there. No need to go dredging. No need to go deep sea diving to go find it. Throw it off the side of the boat and let it stay there. See, if you throw off that weight, then you'll be lighter. You'll be buoyant, and you'll be able to manifest the love of Alahym in you. If not, those insecurities and weaknesses and things of that sort will not allow the word to bloom and blossom in the fashion that you would desire it to. I can guarantee you that. Because a lot of people not going to tell you that. Everybody's not hindered by sin. Everybody's not hindered by unbelief. A lot of people just hindered by life. And life is what makes it hard for them to come in this man's likeness and image. That's why he told you to be of good cheer. He's overcome the world, because in the world you will have tribulation. This is why he told you this. That's how you overcome the world. You know what I'm saying? All this other stuff you need to talk about, man, that's always going to be a long list of dudes whose name ain't in that book. And everybody going to be looking around wondering why their name ain't in that book. But you know why it ain't there. And that should not be the case for any of you. No need for you to perish. No need for it at all. Romans chapter 13. You can pick it up at verse 12. Yeah, in fact, you can make it 10. No doubt, man. Now, some people got sins that's bottom. Some people had bad childhoods. You know what I'm saying? That junk's still affecting them. Some people had bad relationships. That junk's still affecting them. You know what I'm saying? Some people might have had a traumatic experience, whatever the case may be. That junk's still affecting them. And it's hindering them. And you gotta get rid of that junk, man. You gotta toss that junk overboard. Overboard. If you're gonna walk through the gates of the city, because you can't bring it with you. You can't bring it with you and enter into the gates of the city. You gotta leave that stuff outside of there, because it's death. Whatever it would be construed as death, you have to shed that. You know what I'm saying? You have to shed it. Nevertheless, Romans chapter 13 and verse 10. Love work no ill to his neighbor, therefore love is a fulfilling of Torah. And that knowing the time that is now high time to awake out of sleep. But now is our salvation nearer than we've believed. The night is far spent, the day is at hand. Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness. Let us put on the armor of light. Let us walk honestly as in the day, not in rioting and drunkenness, not in chambering and wantonness, not in strife and envying, but put you on the Lord Yahushua HaMashiach, and make not provision for the flesh to fulfill the lusts thereof. Let's take a look at something. Luke chapter 22. He told you to put on Mashiach and that you would not make provision for the flesh. Let's look at the Greek word for provision. Let's look at the Greek word for provision, if we will. It is pronoia. And that's poor, you know what I mean? Simply forethought, care, or supply. Let's not have any forethought. Let's not be thinking about fulfilling the lust of the flesh thereof. Let's not do that. And again, fulfilling the lust of the flesh is not only fulfilling desires of pleasure, because the desires of the flesh or the cares of the flesh or the thoughts of the flesh are completely contrary to the will of Alahym to begin with, whether that be fear, whether that be anxiety. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to think of some other things that's coming to my mind, whether it's doubt, insecurities. All of these things are things that are not of the Ruach of Alahym, because those things are not indicative of the living Alahym. As remember, we looked at is that he will not do anything that is wrong. He doesn't commit any iniquity. He's just, he's good, he's true. This is what I'm talking about looking at things that have occurred to you and shedding them, because it does not allow you to be like the Most High. There's not a substance on this earth that we can partake in that can make us like the Most High. Not a herb, not a liquor, not a beverage. Only thing that can do that is the Ruach, which is contained in his word, if you take hold of it and possess it in your inward parts. It's the only way that you're going to become like him. And that will allow you to shed all of those things. But when you take hold to that word, as it tells you and James, that you'll be like a natural man beholding his face in a glass. The word be able to see these things. And see, this is where the nuance and the care and the skill and the wisdom and all these things come to pass, to allow you to understand how Alahym is there to heal you of those things according to that word. Not just passing you a scripture. See, this is the biggest mistake that a lot of people make. Yes, somebody can give you a script that could help you through a tough time, but it also tells you about a man who brings a word in due season, and how a word in due season can make a man's heart rejoice. See, sometimes just reading a script in and of itself is not going to solve your problem, because you could read the script but not have the wisdom and the understanding of the wherewithal to execute said script, to what I'm looking for, to assuage whatever it is that you have an issue with. There has to be some insight and understanding to the framework of the thought pattern of the individual. And then said word could give them hope, or could give them insight, or could give them skill in dealing with whatever it is that they're dealing with. See, that's what most of us think. Give me a scripture for such and such, man. I'm going through this here. Man, that's not how this thing works. There has to be wisdom in your heart and wisdom and judgment on your tongue. Understanding in your heart and in your mouth, to be able to impart that to another individual for that to be beneficial for them. And that does not mean being a preacher. Again, I said wisdom and understanding. That anyone can have wisdom and understanding of the living Alahym and not preach no word. You know what I'm saying? And everybody don't have that. Everybody don't have it. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be cognizant of that. Just because somebody can sit up and tell you some Bible verses don't mean that this nigga know what he's talking about in regards to healing someone's soul with this man's word, or healing a heart with this man's word. But all I can tell you is that if that's what you need of, then you ought to seek it. You understand? You can't just sit idly by and just think, if I keep reading, that it's gonna come. Because you could read all day long and still not have the wisdom to be able to understand what's being imparted. Some people may agree with that, some people may not. I genuinely don't care. But I'm here to tell you, if you hit me up and say, hey man, I'm going through this here, shoot me a script. I can shoot you one, but that don't mean that it's going to benefit you, because you may not know what you're looking at. When you see it, you just reading a cavalcade of verses. Now, what are you going to be able to do with those? Can you be able to encapsulate that information to be able to heal your soul from whatever aches it and whatever ails it, I should say? Because again, every ailment is not an ailment of sin or unbelief. Some things are just the ailments of life. Because it's hard out here, man. You know what I'm saying? It's real out here. And then doggone wicked people and selfish and I can't think of anything else to call these rotten bastards. Type people out here don't make it no better. You know what I'm saying? They don't make it no better. But hold Isaiah 14. Eventually, we'll come back around that corner. I need y'all to come to the songs for me, though. I need y'all to come to the songs. Oh, boy, excuse me. I would need y'all to come to Psalms chapter 7. I need you to come to Psalms chapter 7. How do I want to do Psalms chapter 7? You can pick it up at verse 6. I tell you, man, always remember that what the Lord told you in John chapter 16, verse 33, that in this world you're going to have tribulation, but man, but be of good cheer because he done overcame. And what did that mean? I meant to get Luke 22. Matter of fact, that's what I didn't do. Before we read Psalm 7, come over here to Luke 22. Praise the Lamb. That John definitely slipped my mind. Why don't you come over here to Luke chapter 22? You could pick it up at verse 24, just on general principle. Luke chapter 22, verse 24. And there was also strife among them, which of them should be accounted the greatest. He said unto them, the kings of the Gentiles exercise lordship over them, and they that exercise authority upon them are called benefactors. But you shall not be so, but he that is greatest among you, let him be as the younger, and he that is chief is he that do serve. But whether is greater he that sit at meat or he that serve, is not he that sit at meat, but I am among you as he that serve. You are they which have continued with me in my temptation. Now, that's what we came from. This man was tempted in all types of ways. And it wasn't just tempted, and again, and y'all know because we even went over that before. Tempted in all types of ways of the human experience. He was tempted even in this regards of healing people, tempted in regards of his knowledge, tempted in regards of the things that he should have received, and would he forsake them for temporary pleasure and fulfillment? You know what I'm saying? All these different type of things. Now, of course, you know that he was tempted like as we are, yet without sin. But why are we looking like this here? Because it tells you, right, that Alahym tempt no man with evil, which, of course, you see that Yahushua did not tempt any man at any time. See, come over here to James chapter 1 for what I'm referring to. Now, of course, you know, Alahym was manifested in the flesh, but yet he was a man. That's why he was able to be tempted with evil. That's why I tell you that Alahym was manifested in the flesh. He was still Alahym, but yet he was a man. And yet he was tempted as a man. But he say still Alahym because that was your Alahym in your face, that he was in a personification of a man. Therefore, when he was a man, he was not actually in the essence and power of Alahym, if you understand what I'm saying. James chapter 1 and verse 12. If you don't understand what I'm saying, then let that be known, so we can make that clear for you. James chapter 1 and verse 12. Blessed is the man that endured temptation. When he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which Yahuwah promised to them that love him. Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of Alahym. Alahym cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempt he any man. Now, of course, we just seen Yahushua say that he was tempted. Because remember, he said the son of man, he was the son of Adam. But he was still Alahym manifested in the flesh. That was your Alahym. He just was a man. You understand? And he didn't tempt any man with evil at any time. Why is that important for us? Because if you seek to become a son of Alahym, then you don't need to be tempting anyone with evil at any time. It's something that you have to take in consideration if you seek to be like him. We started off in Isaiah 14, and he said, I will be like the Most High. See, the whole purpose of us looking at Alahym being manifested in the flesh is a myriad of things. And one of those things is being like the Most High. Because we just read earlier that he is like his father. If you see him, you see his father. He is in the image and likeness and resemblance of his father. Well, if you're going to be born of the son of Alahym, like it tells you in Ephesians chapter 4, and like the Lord told you in John chapter 3, and like it's specified in Ezekiel 18 and Jeremiah chapter 24, and Jeremiah 31, and numerous other places, then you will resemble Alahym. See, all we worrying about is resembling our heritage, this, that, and the third. Nobody's concerned with resembling Alahym. That's why we take the time by the grace of Yahushua to look at all the nuance of the character of who this man is. This will give you the ability and the wherewithal to execute speedily judgment and who is and who isn't a Alahym. Because a nigga can make their mouth fried fish. But a lot of these niggas out here is hoes and they flaw. And they know they hoe. And they know they flaw. They know it. They know they're not stand-up men. They know they're not men of honor. Niggas besmirch their character and their honor on the regular through no provoking, through the own whole nigginess that dwells in them. You know what I'm saying? Straight up and down. Dudes do it regularly. And the thing is that we turn our head to it because we don't want to see somebody for the coward that they are. And when I'm talking about coward, that means fleeing from something that is difficult. Not meaning that he'll let someone beat them up. Because you have men who will stand up and fight, but yet are cowards. Because when they're faced with real live decision making and things of real importance, they will fold and they will shrink. But yet they'll fight anyone, get in a gunfight, and you'll look at him and say that that's a man of valor. And when he's faced with difficult decisions that have nothing to do with physical violence, they fold. That person is a coward because they don't want the uncomfortability of the decision making that a man must make and the stands that he must take. So you have to always keep that in mind. Just because someone can become physically violent does not mean that they are a man of honor and a man of valor. Because you have some of the most ignorant. And I did time with some simple-minded individuals that will slay and fight anyone at a moment's notice. At a moment's notice. Have no regard. Think nothing of it. Relish the opportunity to place their hands on another human being and cause them physical pain. But they will not take the physical, or not even, let me say physical. They will not like to take the mental pain that comes with taking a stand for things that are correct. And that mental pain can be the ostracizing and the belittling and the derision that can come from taking a stand. Everybody don't want to take that because everybody wants to be accepted and to be liked and to be accepted with the crowd. And it takes something to stand and say, I absolutely will not. That takes more heart than it does to stand up there and put your hands on somebody. That's one of the attributes that Yahushua was trying to show you. Yahushua could have whooped all them people at any time. And he told them people that, man, if my kingdom was of this world, man, we fight and we'll whoop y'all behind, boy. But y'all don't want deep problems. What's going on, bro? I'm glad to see you, bro. I hope everything well. You know what I'm saying? You know, whoop they. I'm talking about, but I don't have to do that because in the ability that it took, that he could have stood up and fight and told Peter, just go ahead and draw your sword and let's make it do what it do. You know what I'm saying? He said, nah, man, how else the scripture's gonna be fulfilled, bro? I got to get up here and suffer. I have to go stand and face a difficult situation that nobody else would take, but I'm gonna take it. I'm no coward. I will not back out. I will not run. I will stand here and stand firm upon my Abba's word, even unto death. That made him more of a man of honor and valor than it would for somebody to pick up a weapon and slay someone. Because some people who would be faced with that same decision would not be willing to lay down their life for that word. And in turn, that would make them a coward. Because when you were faced with an opportunity to stand up in the face of a painful or uncomfortable situation or circumstance, you shrinked under the pressure. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people out here who want to put their hands on people, they ain't even really violent for real. Them boys got pent up anger and rage in them from childhood trauma and pain and stuff that they ain't let out. Dudes ain't even really that tough. They just mad. Dudes just be mad. A lot of dudes ain't even that tough. Some dudes just want to be tough to make you leave them alone. That's their defense mechanism. I seen that in prison all the time. Dude's not tough, but he feel like if he act tough, ain't nobody gonna mess with him. One thing you have to be as a man, you have to be yourself. If you carry yourself like a man and you conduct yourself like a man, you can network and move around in any environment with no problems. You carry yourself like a godly person, and the godly and Alahym is in you, and you in him. You can move around anywhere on this earth and have no problems. That man will make sure that someone will see you, acknowledge you, care for you, and whatever the case may be. No manipulation needed, no guile needed, no lies needed, no nothing. Because at the end of the day, Yahushua would be your passport. Let me read y'all verse 14 before we slide out of here, man. But every man is tempted and is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Then when lust has conceived, it brings forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, bring forth death. Do not err, my beloved brethren. Come on back over here to Psalm 7, man. I thank you for the name of Yahushua, man. Let the word be true. Let every man be alive. But I'm here to tell you, anything that you've ever encountered in your life, any decision that you ever made, whether it went good or whether it went bad, that junk don't really matter. All you got to do, see, a lot of us have a problem because you haven't done the very thing that you got to do, and that's become a new creature and let old things pass away. That was supposed to happen when you hit that wall. Not just as forth as shedding the old man, I don't live for the world and sin. Man, look here, man. Let me pause for a second and let me put a thought in your mind. And y'all let me know your thoughts, man. Let me put a thought in your mind. In Book of Revelation, right? Y'all let me know if I'm wrong, right? Book of Revelation is going along with in the prophet of Isaiah's word. And he would make a new heaven and a new earth. And we read in Revelation 21 that when Alahym come down, that he will wipe away all pain and all tears and things of that nature, and that all old things are passed away and all things are become new. You understand what I'm saying? Now, I want you to think about that. Now, the book tells you to be created in true righteousness, or be born again, or become a new creature, all things new. Well, that means, look here, right? Let me tell you something, man. Don't never dwell on the past. Because when you do that, this is what's going to happen. You're going to be missing out on what's going on your present, which will definitely have a deleterious effect on your future. Because the past is the past. Whatever sins you done committed, they done now. You still here. And give thanks to Alahym that you have a mind to continue to serve him. Ain't no sense of dwelling on that. Move past that. You know what I'm saying? Why am I saying all of this? Become new. And let whatever happened in the past, let it die. Let it die. As Yahushua son of Nun said, whatever happened on the other side of that flood, man, leave that junk over there. I know it sounds like, oh, that's so simple to do, but ain't no but. Just let it die. Very well may be true, my friend. That very well may be true. And I'm gonna have to roll with you on that because I can't speak to that. But that's your perspective. And if you felt like that was the case, then I'm going to agree wholeheartedly with you in your assertion. But yeah, man, let it pass away because at the end of the day, you seeking. Remember, right? The pistol tells you that there's no bond, no free, no male, no female, no Yahudim, no Greek, just one and Mashiach. Everybody like Alahym, resembling him. Y'all already know, putting on Esau, putting on the firstborn. Let that stuff pass away and become new. Remember, right? When he said to be refreshed, become new. Like I said, it's simple, but you know what? The principles of greatness are contained in simplicity. And I don't care what venue, avenue, vocation that you partake in. The principles of greatness are always caught up in the simplicity because it's caught up in fundamentals. And the fundamentals are the foundations of whatever it is that you're doing. And the fundamentals are always simple. Fundamentals of anything that you participate in are always simple. Hallelujah, indeed. I praise the Lamb. You know what I'm saying? So I want y'all to think about that. In real talk, man. You know what I mean? Like, and I've said this before in different words about focusing on the fundamentals and keeping things simple. But truly, the principles of greatness are contained in simplicity. If you look at any great organization, when I'm talking about organization with business, whatever the case may be, if you look at any great individual who's achieved the great heights in any field, you will look at, when you look at and break down what they were doing, the beauty was in simplicity. It might have seemed complex, but in actuality, it wasn't. It was very, very simple, especially somebody who had a system that had to be replicated. The system was replicated that other people could partake in it. It had to be simple for others to be able to plug and play into it. And it's no different with the word. The word is a system. And you have to be a willing participant in that system because it's a plug and play system. I've used this analogy with y'all for years. Or why do you think the Patriots are able to stay winning for such a long period of time? Because they have a system and they plug and play people into that system. They have people who are willing to buy into that system, who are willing to relinquish the thoughts of self for the working of the system, because they know that no one person is greater than the system. And when you look at the word of Alahym, it is no different. It is a system, and that system is the righteous obedience of faith and the kadoshness of righteousness, which is contained in the Son of the living Alahym. And everyone has to move in and be conformed to that system. You can't be in the system and want to do what you want to do in the midst of that system. It's not going to work. The system will eject you. It will eject you. There's no place for an individual thinking in that system. That's why the marriage is described in the way that it's described in the text, because it's a system. There's no room for the woman to be an individual in that system. She has to become one with that man in order for the system to work. It can't work with two individuals. It can't work with two equals. Someone has to submit to the other in order for the system to work. You understand? And when you sit back and you look at it, right, and we're going to read it in a moment. Y'all already know it, though. I'm going to tell you that Joseph was an equal, and we do not have to know gifts. You know, in Genesis 41, they tell you that Joseph and Pharaoh, that Joseph was told by Pharaoh that he would rule and everyone would listen to him. He's in the likeness of Pharaoh, in his direct image. We'll probably go read it anyway. But yet Pharaoh is over him. And the only way that Joseph can execute in that system, even though he has like power to Pharaoh, is that he has to yield to Pharaoh. If he doesn't, the system doesn't work. It's no different than with the Father and with Yahushua. The system, Yahushua has the same power, rule, and authority as his Father, yet he must yield to his Father. If he does not, the system does not work. It doesn't work. It won't work. Somebody has to yield. I don't care what you got going on. I don't care what the organization is. I don't care if it's a business. I don't care what it is. There has to be a hierarchy. Well, yes, there will be one person at the top who calls the plays, and everyone has to yield. If it's multiple people running the show and nobody is yielding, the system won't work. Because everybody has one thought. As it tells you, matter of fact, come over here to Jeremiah. It's Jeremiah. See, I'm mentioning this here because something came to my mind. I shared it with East the other day, and that was in regard to something else. But the text tells us that we got to have one heart and one way. A lot of us don't want to actually do that. Now, a lot of brothers will take it and they'll mention it's Jeremiah 32. Actually. Come on around here, Jeremiah. You can pick it up in 38. A lot of individuals will take it, and to an extent, they are correct. And they'll talk about what's in the book of Acts. But it's not just having one heart and one way as forth as breaking bread and having everything in common. That's having one mind. We're going to see that again as forth as we talk about being like the Most High and being in his likeness and resemblance in his image. Roll with me, though. Jeremiah 32 and 36. And now, therefore, thus saith Yahuwah the Alahym of Yasharal concerning this city, wherever you say it shall be delivered into the hand of the king of Babylon by the sword and by the famine and by the pestilence. Behold, I will gather them out of all countries whither I have driven them in my anger and in my fury and in great wrath, and I will bring them again unto this place. I will cause them to dwell safely. They shall be my people, and I will be their Alahym. And I will give them one heart and one way, that they may fear me forever, for the good of them and of their sons after them. And I'll make an everlasting covenant with them, that I will not turn away from them to do them good, but I will put my fear in their hearts, and they shall not depart from me. Now you have to understand something. We done read before this. Once this man give you the Ruach HaKodesh, you're not leaving this man. That's what I don't understand. People, I done heard people say, the Ruach is the word. So if you heard the words, you got the Ruach. People, nah, nigga. This man dwell in you and you dwell in him, but you're not going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? That's a wrap. You locked in. You wouldn't go nowhere if you tried, because you wouldn't want to. You wouldn't want to. See, most people, they've never known Alahym to have that one heart and one way to get to the point where they would want to turn. That's why I say it's impossible for those who've been partakers of the divine nature to fall away. It's impossible. It's not happening. Come to Hebrews chapter 6, just on the case of that. And after we read the Hebrews 6, 1 Corinthians chapter. And again, it's still tied in. I still want y'all to think about what I just said not too long ago, man. Like, really sit back and think about all things being new. Hebrews 6 and 1. You done made all things new and let them old things pass away. I'm telling you, man, it's something different. It's something different. It's something different. Man, I'm gonna tell you, man, I used to have real good memory about a lot of things from my youth that were funny to me. Good, man, I don't even remember much of them no more. That junk ain't even because a nigga getting older. It's just because that junk dead. That junk is dead. You know what I'm saying? That junk is over with. That junk is just a figment in my mind. Because I'm not looking back, I'm looking ahead, as Paul said, and pressing forward to the high mark of the calling of Yahushua HaMashiach. I'm not really concerned about, other than certain aspects that I can pull from that allow me to be able to make decisions that won't be deleterious for me right now. You know what I'm saying? As far as wisdom, insight, and understanding is concerned. But a lot of stuff, man, I don't remember. What's the point? What's the point? I don't think like that anymore. I don't have a desire to do those things anymore. I don't have a problem with those people. I still love every last one of them. But we can't sit back and move in that space anymore. Not even just because of the word, just because of maturity, because we're twice that age. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not concerned with it anymore, because my mind has to be on what I'm doing right now to prepare myself for what Yahuwah willing I'll be doing 2 months from now. And prayerfully what I'll be doing for the entirety of eternity, which will be honoring, praising, serving, and worshiping him. So I have no time to be concerned about some of the things that we used to do, because they weren't of no profit to me. And truth be told, they're pure and utter shame. You know what I'm saying? Nevertheless, Hebrews chapter 6 and verse 1. Therefore, leaving the principles of the doctrine of Mashiach, let us go unto perfection, not laying again the foundation of repentance from dead works and faith for Alahym, of doctrine of emergence and the laying on of hand of the resurrection of the dead, of eternal judgment. This we will do if Alahym permit. For it is impossible for those who were once enlightened and have tasted of the heavenly gift and were made partakers of the Ruach HaKodesh. I don't think nobody in Acts 5 got it and lost it. And have tasted the good word of Alahym and the powers of the world to come, if they shall fall away, to renew them again unto repentance, seeing they crucify themselves to the son of Alahym afresh and put them to an open shame. And what he said, right? To fall away if you've been partakers of the heavenly gift and in light. See, it didn't say they had the Ruach though. So they came in there and they lied. If you can come in there and that late, that's what I thought you were referring to. They never said they had the Ruach. You come look at it. I just was a bald-headed hoe and a stupid husband. See, come on around here to it. Acts 5:1. Shoot, why she asking questions? Ask her, she's still gonna flat iron my hair. And she wanna ask some questions. Let her answer that. All seriousness, though. Acts chapter 5 and verse 1. It says, a certain man named Ananias and Sapphira, his wife, sold a possession and kept back part of the price. His wife, also being privy to it, brought a certain part and laid it at the apostles' feet. Peter said, Ananias, why have Hashatan filled your heart to lie to the Ruach HaKodesh and to keep back part of the price of the land? See, that's the key component where they didn't have it, but they told a bold-faced lie to the spirit of Alahym. See, that's another example of somebody can be sitting around caking and faking. But that's what they were doing. They were caking and faking. He said, while it remained, was it not your own after it was sold? Was it not in your own power? Why have you conceived this thing in your heart? You have not lied unto men, but unto Alahym. Ananias, hearing those words, fell down and gave up the Ruach, and great fear came upon all them that heard these things. The young men arose, wound him up, carried him out, and buried him. And it was about the space of 3 hours later, when his wife, not knowing what was done, came in. Peter answered and said unto her, tell me whether you sold the land for so much. And she said, yeah, for so much. Then Peter said unto her, how is it that you have agreed together to tempt the Ruach of the Lord? Behold, the feet of them which have buried your husband are at the door, and they shall carry you out. Then she fell down straightway at his feet and yielded up the Ruach. And the young men came in and found her dead, and carrying her forth and buried her by her husband. Great fear came upon all the house, upon as many as heard these things. See, what that come down to that was this. Yeah, they heard the word, but they didn't believe it. And why they didn't believe it? Take heed of covetousness, because a man's life doesn't consist of the abundance of things that he possesses. The Lord told you that now. He said, you better take heed of the things you lusting after and desiring, because your life don't consist of that. And it's a lot of people who call themselves being in the word, that's going to be their downfall. Because you looking at, remember, man, I told you this other day, man, Book of Jeremiah told you that. You seek great things for yourself, seek them not. That man told you to seek the kingdom of Alahym first. And anything that you desire be added unto you. See, we forgetting all these things. See, I done told y'all this before, and I'm going to tell you again. Everything that we've encountered in this life, and I can definitely speak for myself. I told you, I could have caught 12 years, got out in 2016 at the latest, 2014 or 13 at the earliest, which means we wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation that we having now. Because by the time 2013, 14 rolled around, I was 4 or 5 years deep in the game. 2016 was 7 years in the game. We started rolling in 2012. As forth as what we're doing right now. You know what I'm saying? So we wouldn't be doing what we're doing right now. What we're doing right now. Every single solitary thing that you have encountered in your life to get you to the very moment that you are right now. Because if our lives would have went any other direction, there's a strong likelihood that when the word of Alahym would have came, we would have rejected it. The word came to you when it was supposed to come to you. It garnered the reaction out of your heart that it was supposed to garner. And you went on the pathway that you were supposed to go on to draw closer to him. Remember, what is the whole duty of man but to fear Alahym and to keep his instructions? Everything, if you were, remember, we just read this earlier, if you predestined to be conformed to the image of his son, which means that all things are made new and old things are passed away, then you have to sit back and understand, son. You can look at the serendipitous pathway that got you into Mizraim in the first place in order for Yahuwah to bring you out by a strong hand and a stretched out arm, to remove you out of the house of bondage, to bring you in a land that flow with milk and honey. Everything that went down to get you to that spot. Everything that the brothers did to Joseph to get Joseph there for them to come back so that you would dwell there and begin to reproduce in order for Yahuwah to show his might, that he might claim you as his own, that he might pull you out of Egypt and make you new, and that all that stuff in Egypt was passed away. All that was for that purpose, that you would accept him. And we don't sometimes think about those things. That's why he told you, take heed and beware of covetousness. Because covetousness is not just desiring riches and material wealth, it's desiring your own will over his will, desiring your own way, desiring your own heart. And this will preclude you from becoming in the likeness of the Most High. This is going to stop you from being able to do this. But I'm here to tell you, none of us would know each other if it wasn't for Yahuwah. For the most part, the likelihood of any of us knowing each other and crossing each other's paths is it's highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. That means that all of these things we just read in Romans 8, that all things work to the good of those who love Alahym, that are called according to his purpose. You have to realize if the call of the gospel went out and entered into your ears and pierced your heart, you called according to his purpose. Rejoice in that. And remember that meaning that he wants to make all things new. Because that same call went into the ears of another person and did not pierce their heart, but it pierced yours. That means you're called according to his purpose. That means everything that we've ever experienced was for the fact. See, I can say that for myself unequivocally, without question. That I knew that everything that I experienced up to May 2009 was to prepare me for the receiving of the word of Alahym in May 2009. Because without it, there would have been no reception. There would have been none. There would have been none. If I don't go to prison, I probably, and not because I went to prison, but if I don't have that experience, if I don't read the things that I read, if I don't have the conversations that I had, if I do not come across the people who I came across and all the things that led up to that, who's to say that when the gospel went out, I would have accepted that? The only thing that we could say with that is that if an individual was predestinated, and if you were predestinated, then it doesn't matter what your life experience was. When the time was coming, you was going. And that's what you have to look at. That is a beautiful thing. I don't think that a lot of us sit back and resonate that in our hearts. So when the gospel went forth and it touched your heart for you to go after it, that means that he wanted you to become new and let that stuff pass away. Because I meant to read y'all that Monday and I didn't. No, you think about 10. Those people were baptized. I don't think it said that they received no spirit. The apostles already did, but they baptized a few thousand people. They'll say that souls were added unto them by 3,000. A lot of signs and wonders. But if the souls were added, then 9 times out of 10, they received it. If your soul was added 9 times out of 10, that means your name written in heaven. But he told them that they should be immersed and receive the gift of the Ruach HaKodesh and the remission of their sins. And 3,000 men were baptized that day. 3,000 men. I had something in my mind I wanted to go to. Now I can't remember. Y'all willing to come back? Come back to Psalm 7. That's right. 1 Corinthians chapter 1. That's what I call it. Come over here to 1 Corinthians chapter 1. After that, Ephesians chapter 4. And then John chapter 17. First Corinthians chapter 1. You can pick it up at verse. But we're getting ready to conclude Alahym being manifested in the flesh. Yahuwah willing. Still got a few things to tag on top of it. What I want us to be able to understand is us becoming like him, so that you can see that how he was like his father. Because remember, it said it is written in your law that you are God, and all of you are the sons of the Most High. And I'll go grab that for you. That's the 5% line. You know, Yahusha quoted it in John 10. People like to quote it because they don't know what they're talking about. But it's Alahym's objective for you to be like him, to bear his resemblance. And in bearing his resemblance, then you have to remember that Yahusha was made a new creature. Son of Adam passed away, and the son of Alahym was made manifested. All that stuff was gone. That's why when Paul got baptized, he said, go and wash away your sins. Why are you waiting? Wash that old stuff away and become new. That's why I say corruption cannot inherit incorruption, because you got to become new. This old things got to pass away. It has to die. Just let it fade away. Nevertheless, 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 3, grace be unto you and shalom from Alahym our Abba and from the Lord Yahushua HaMashiach. I thank my Alahym always on your behalf, the grace of Alahym which is given you by Yahushua HaMashiach, that in everything you are enriched by him in all utterance and in all knowledge, even as the testimony of Mashiach was confirmed in you, so that you come behind in no gift, waiting for the coming of our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach, which I also confirm you unto the end, that you may be blameless in the day of our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach. Alahym is faithful, by whom you were called unto the fellowship of his son, Yahushua HaMashiach, our Lord. Now notice, right, you're called into the fellowship, or the other words with you, I'm just going to use a card for the moment, but you called into the oneness of the Son. That's what you called into. When you called into that, you're going to be made new. Listen what he says, now I beseech you, brethren, by the name of our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach, that you all speak the same thing, that there be no divisions among you, but that you be perfectly joined together in the same mind and in the same judgment. That's having one heart in one way. Of course, you know what Ephesians 4, we're finna read it right now since I mentioned it. It ain't but one body. And again, that's going back to the framework of what I'm talking about working inside of a system. The system is the system, and the system is flawless. There's nothing faulty or flaw about the system. If you stick to the system works. The system is simple. It's not complex. It's not difficult. It's simple. And if you stick to it, you will see results. And truth be told, you'll see rapid results if you stick to it. And when I'm talking about rapid results, I'm talking about, if you will see fit, a rapid manifold increase in your wisdom, a rapid manifold increase in your understanding, your insight, and a rapid manifold increase of your faith. See, I ain't talking about a lot of stuff that other people be thinking about. Your skill and the ability to move around and how to know how to conduct yourself, and the insight into not only the word, but in the insight to the things that go on around you will increase exponentially. Your faith will increase exponentially. That's how quickly the manifestation of the word can come if you stick to the system and hold fast to it, knowing full well that if you believe every word of it, that it will benefit you. And it will do so. I'm a living witness. It is beneficial. It is fail-proof. It's foolproof. There's no failing. It's just not going to fail. Nevertheless, Ephesians 4 and 1. I therefore, the prisoner of the Lord, beseech you that you walk worthy of the vocation wherewith you are called, with all lowliness and meekness, with long suffering, forbearing one another in love, endeavoring to keep the unity of the Ruach and the bond of Shalom. There's one body, one Ruach, even as you called in one hope of your calling, one Lord, one faith, one immersion, one Alahym and Abba of all, who is above all and through all and in you all. Now notice how you said that, right? He tell you got one master, and that's referring to Yahusha. And then he said you have one Alahym and Abba of all. The Alahym. This is the Alahym whom he said, if you see me, you seen him. Because I bear his likeness. And y'all should know that, any of you who have a son, or what it's like to lift up your son and to see yourself in his space. I'm not talking about looking at you, I'm talking about you see yourself in his space. He looks like you. He bears your resemblance. He has your mannerisms. And that would be no different than being born in the image of the Son of the living Alahym. You would be in the likeness of the Father. You would have his mannerisms. You would have his character. You would have his heart. And you will walk in his way, because it ain't but one. All this other stuff these niggas got going on, man, man, at the end of the day, man, it ain't but one way, yo. It ain't but one way. And again, that's going back to Dema and what Monte mentioned in regard to what he came up with, which is that the mighty has made an entrance with greatness. And he made that entrance with greatness. Because what would be greater than being in the likeness and image of Alahym? And remember, I want you to keep that in mind. It tells you that in Luke chapter 1, that he should be called great and the son of the highest. Well, what do you think you're going to be called? If you're born of him, you're going to be called great and the son of the highest. Come to Psalms 82 if you would. 82 and 6. That's all you got to do. You can read the John 10 equivalent just because, if you weren't aware, so nobody can't deceive you. Say, you know, monkey crap in the middle of the afternoon. That's what people love to do. Say you're a bunch of bovine excrement. Psalms 82 and 6. I have said you are gods, and all of you are sons of the Most High. Let's take a look. This just popped in my mind. It came out of nowhere. Not the word per se, but y'all know some of y'all brothers know, y'all be checking out the dude, you know, Book of Alpharonomy. Then Will talking about it earlier, right? That nigga unrighteous pimp. You know why I didn't say when it comes to natural things, because I'm mentioning this here because of certain things that man say. That brother ain't tell you no lie. The cojones, the balls, if you would, to perpetrate and portray himself as if he is a son of the Most High, and as if the living Alahym has sent him to proclaim this information in the earth, to make men the most alpha versions of themselves. Whole bunch of poppycock, monkey crap, nonsense, tomfoolery, pure and utter haberdashery and wickedness. You know what I'm saying? If you have a discerning ear. See, I say that because it's a lot of men, whether they in the word or not, I do not know, will sit there and they'll say that this man is, it don't matter, bro. It don't matter. It's a dude on YouTube, though. You know what I'm saying? And what he's referring to is the understanding of the nature of a woman and understanding the nature of being a man. And there are people who could give you that type of wisdom on a natural side. But see, he tried to sprinkle that word in. See, that's what things go left. That's what things go left. Because there's a lot of people try to sprinkle word in on the stuff they talking about. Now, see, what bro was talking about in regards of where are the dudes who have this information give wisdom to a man in their videos, especially these men who say they hold firm and they believe the word. That's how you know they don't believe it, because they're not giving that wisdom to individuals in regards to be able to rear their son or their daughter in a God-fearing fashion. See, what they really telling dudes is to live a free agent lifestyle, to slay and play with hoes. Build yourself up, you run across a woman, don't get married, bust up her back, do this, that, there, and the third. That's unrighteousness. Any level of discernment, you'll be able to tell this is not of Alahym, because this is nothing but uncleanliness and defilement that this man is speaking. So therefore, I cannot sit back and say that you are a son of the living Alahym, much less for you to blaspheme and say that he sent you to say this. Why do I say this? Because you already know, and we're more than likely going to have to go look at it. With the man of sin, during the mystery of iniquity, beast, if you will, he will stand up and say that he is Alahym manifested in the flesh. That is why you're supposed to know that Yahushua was Alahym manifested in the flesh, and how and why. See, niggas will tell you they blaspheming, they saying he God in the flesh, this, that, then the third. You're going to get duped. Because the beast is going to stand up and say he God in the flesh. What you going to do then, man? How you going to combat that information? What you going to do? Because when you see him doing the things that Yahushua did and he opened up that text and say, see, I'm God in the flesh, what you going to do? Because you didn't know that your God was manifested in the flesh. So 9 times out of 10, you're going to be a simpleton and follow. See, all this stuff, Yahuwah willing, is to prepare you for you to take your stand. You know what I'm saying? This is not just information for us to be like, whoa, look what we know. No, this is to prepare you to take your stand. At the end of the day, everything that we look at is to prepare you for you to take your stand. Whether it be with the beast, whether it be with life, whether it be with your own desires, it's for to prepare you for you to be able to take your stand. And that's it. Because if you're able to take your stand, then your faith is made manifest. And if your faith is made manifest, then this is going to be manifest before the throne. And if it's manifest before the throne, this man will confess that he knows you to his Father, and they will allow you to reside with him in everlasting peace. Now, you can take and do whatever that you will. But at the end of the day, that's what it's for. Because I don't care if anybody... See, we're not, stinking whore. Good grief. See, you can't be in this for accolades, for somebody to tell you, that brother, there's a great teacher. That got a lot of wisdom. That John don't mean nothing. You understand? At the end of the day, that John don't mean nothing. We got to be prepared to take our stand. And that's it. Can you look yourself in the mirror and say you ready to take your stand? And if not, no need to fret. No need for trepidation. You're getting prepped and prepared so you can take your stand. So thank Alahym that the things haven't occurred where it will cause you to take your stand and you're not ready yet. But if you're already blessed, be you. May Yahuwah give you strength to continue to stand. Get your feet firm. Locked in on that rock. You understand? Psalms 82, though. Verse 6. He said, I've said you are gods and all of you are sons of the Most High. Of course, you know that is Alahym. And then you have Elyon is forth is the Most High. Of course, you know that's an exalted one above everyone, the Most High, either a monarch or angel princess, if it would. You have Ayin, Lamad, U, and Noon. So clearly that you would know the shepherd and know that the shepherd has secured you to life, all because you were in his likeness, because Yahushua has caused you to enter into greatness. Think about that. Let that rest in your mind. Because that's what it say. But this is what he say. You'll die like men and fall like one of the princes. Look at the thing that he tell you. You will die like a man. And it's Adam. You will die like Adam. Well, we already know that Yahushua died like Adam. You know that. John 10, just on general principle. 10 and 34. We're not reading the whole place. 10 and 35, if you would. 33, excuse me. 10 and 33. You know, praise Alahym in the name of Yahushua, man. We just taking a stroll. I know I got a little extra time. I had in my mind that I was going to damn a lot of stuff in. Pause. Because we didn't, because the trap was closed. But I thank the Lord. Ain't no need for us to do that. It's just a moment for us to reflect and consider as we look over certain aspects of information that we be able to focus on becoming like him, knowing that it was testified of the Son that he would be like the Most High. And then that ended up occurring. And understanding that being like the Most High is being in his likeness. This is why Paul wrote in Philippians, do not think it robbery to make yourself equal to Alahym and to let that mind be in you. Because to be equal to him is simply to be in his likeness. Why would you think it's anything wrong that you would want to be in the likeness and resemble your Father in heaven? When most little boys, if they raised by their daddy, had a desire to look like and be like their daddy. There was some brothers in the barbershop, they were going, you can share your thoughts on here if you agree. I'll just pose the question because I walked in on it, and Cuz definitely clearly was passionate about what he was talking about because he definitely tried to bring me into the foray. But I respectfully define. But there's a difference between being a father and a daddy. And if any of you agree with that assessment, then you can state that you agree and why you agree. And if you disagree, you can state on here why you disagree, that you disagree and why so. But I'd like to hear you gentlemen's thoughts, or even you young ladies, if you would, on that matter. We had a 13-minute mark. So I give you 2 minutes. I give you to 15 minutes, hour and 15 minutes. But yeah, if anybody chooses to want to comment on that. But you should not think that you're taking anything away because you desire to resemble him who is of eternity. Because isn't that the objective? Ain't that the goal? To resemble eternity? You know what I'm saying? Like, people will literally mock you because you desire to look like and be like Alahym. Makes no sense. Makes absolutely no sense. All anybody wants to resemble is what they feel like the Israelite look like culturally. Right. Anybody else, man? We got about 40 more seconds. And then we're gonna move on. Right. Anybody else, man? We about 20 seconds left, man. And we'll move on. About 5 more seconds, man. I definitely agree that there is a difference. You know, that's what the Monte way, what you put is what they was in there arguing about, that you could be a father and not a dad. But I view it more from how Darius put it at, that you would rather be a father than a dad. Because the father, hold on. Right. Right. And I agree that being a father is a difference. I understand what you used to understand the dynamic of the concept. They're just words, but as far as for a man, like, you would rather be a father than a dad, because as Derek did put, the father is involved in the shaping, molding, upbringing, discipline, chastening, rearing, and positioning and planning of his seedlings' lives, and that the love of a father is different than if you just like, that's my daddy. Daddy usually is there might do some fun things with you, this, that, there, and the third, but he is not taking a hands-on task of molding you and shaping you and crafting you in his image and in his likeness. You know what I'm saying? I say, and I understood what the brother was saying. Like I said, I just respectfully chose not to participate because the conversation was based off of Future and Russell Wilson. So that's why I just chose not to participate. Because when you look at it, I'm just saying that in terms of the text, because that's how your Alahym is referred to, Father or Abba. Yeah. I'm not even looking at it having a great understanding of the word, because that's not going to be fair to the average man in this captivity for them to possess that. You know what I'm saying? And I forgot, because some people do call their daddy pops, and how I refer to mine. He ain't teach me absolutely nothing though. You know what I'm saying? So I couldn't actually hold him in regard to any of the three titles. But I'm in his likeness, and a lot of his mindset and spirit resides within me naturally, of not of anything that he taught, naturally, because I'm his seedling. You understand? But when you're a father, that is different. Your daddy might be the fun guy, does things with you, makes you smile, this, that, and the third. Probably ain't teaching you. Father takes the time. He has your life scripted, and he is hands-on, and has nothing more. There's nothing more desirable for him other than the molding you in the image that he desires you to be. And he will spend an inordinate amount of time in schooling you. And in the midst of that, that's what come into what East just mentioned. That's a love that's displayed, that comes out naturally, that will not be compared to anyone who you come across, not even your own mother. A love of a father will pale in comparison to the love that your mama give. Your mama cannot even begin to fathom to be able to manifest the level of love that your father will show you. You know what I'm saying? It just pales in comparison. It pales in comparison because of the framework of the system in heaven, of which it is supposed to be patterned after. You know what I'm saying? And you should always aim to be a father and not a dad, because that means you have something to teach your children. It means you have something that you have explicitly desired to rear them in a direction you have chosen to guide them in. And 9 times out of 10, you already had it pre-planned. You know what I'm saying? But then the love aspect, and not just the affection, the counseling, the teaching, the discipline, the chastening, the rebuking, the directing, the firmness that comes along with it. Yeah, it's an ultimate dynamic. Nevertheless, John chapter 10. I appreciate y'all for sharing your thoughts. I appreciate that. John 10 and 32, actually. Yahushua answered them, many good works have I showed you from my Abba. For which of these works do you stone me? Yahudim answered him, saying, for a good work we stone you not, but for blasphemy. Because that you, being a man, make yourself Alahym. Yahushua answered them, is it not written in your Torah, said you are gods? He called them gods, of whom the word of Alahym came. The scripture cannot be broken. Say you of him whom Abba have sanctified and sent into the world, you blaspheme, because I said I am the son of Alahym. Now I will tell you this, especially dealing with our father in Shamahim, and then of course the everlasting father whom we birth from, Yahushua HaMashiach. The greatest ability that a father can have is the ability to teach his seed. And the ability to teach his seed and correct his seed and do it under control, without getting angry, losing patience and control. But the ability to impart instructions in a fashion whether it is amiable and receivable to the child whom you are imparting it to. If you can master that ability, then you would have the ability to be able to rear your child in your image. Because if you don't have the ability to impart the wisdom and instruction and the rebuke and chastening to your seed without being angry, hasty, impatient, and you haven't mastered what it is to be a father yet. We can only look at our father and Shamim as the example. All you got to do is pay attention to how he taught Yahushua, and then pay attention to how Yahushua taught us. And then you'll see the ability to have the ability to teach your own son. And you'll have the ability to do that for your own son. Because you have to realize, son, man, word or not, if you want somebody to be able to do something, you have to be able to know how to impart it to them to where they will receive it and have a delight to do it. If it comes in a hostile fashion, if it comes in a, I won't say belittling, but if it's conveyed in a negative fashion, you're not going to get the result that you desire. You're not going to get the action that you desire. See, I was talking to bro about it earlier too. You have to know who you're dealing with. You know, whether that's your woman, whether that's your child, you have to know how they operate in order to impart information to them. Everybody is not the same. You know what I'm saying? You can't deal with every woman the same. Every woman is not the same. You can't deal with every child the same because every child is not the same. You have to know that child. You have to know that woman in order to impart the information, in order for that man or that woman or that girl or that boy to take it and do it. See, the same way, and I mentioned this because when you look at the word, Yahuwah did not impart information to everybody the same because everybody is not the same. He approached each individual in a fashion that was exclusive to them in order for that person to get that word and do what he wanted them to do. Some people he was more harsh with. Some people he was not. But either way it go, he knew exactly what to do and how to do it to get the impetus to this person to do what it was that he desired them to do. I just want you to think about that. Come on back over here, right? Psalm said, no, I don't want to purchase that. Not because it's a Sabbath, I just don't want to buy it. Psalms chapter 7. You can pick it up at verse 8. Psalm 7 and 8. Yahuwah shall judge the people, judge me, O Yahuwah, according to my righteousness, according to my integrity that is in me. O let the wickedness of the wicked come to an end, but establish the just. For the righteous Alahym tries the hearts and the reins. That's one thing that you got to remember. Of course, you know, establishes Kum. But remember, that's pecan when it comes to try the hearts of the and the reins. Remember, that's the bot, the cot, and the noon. So go ahead and get separated to the Son of Life because he got to examine you and he has to prove you. See, if you want to be like the Most High, then he has to prove you. Now, of course, it got Labah for heart here, and you got Lamah, Bat, and Hay. So go ahead and behold the house of the shepherd. Or go behold the teachings of the Son, because he's going to examine you so he can see if that word is in you. Of course, you got your reins, that's your side, your emotions, your affections, the seat of your affections, Kaf, Lamad, Yod, and Hay. But think about that for a moment. Because he'll set up the just. Listen here, chapter verse 10. My defense is of Alahym, which saved the upright. Alahym judged the righteous, and Alahym is angry with the wicked every day. Turn not, he will whet his sword, he has bent his bow and made it ready. He has also prepared for him the instruments of death. He ordained his arrows against the persecutor. Behold, he travailed with iniquity. He hath conceived mischief, and brought forth falsehood. He made a pit and digged it, and is fallen to a ditch which he made. His mischief shall return upon his own head, and his violent dealing shall come upon his own play. I will praise Yahuwah according to his righteousness. I will sing praise to the name of Yahuwah Most High. Now, of course, again, it is Elyon, which is the name of Alahym, the highest, the most high. Yahuwah is the highest, is what that says. Now, he said he will sing praise according to his righteousness. I want you to keep this in mind because now we're going to take a trip to Psalms 81. Not 81. My apologies. Psalms 83. Psalms 83. Psalms 83. You can grab verse 1 if you would. You know what? Go to Psalms 47 first. Go to Psalms 47. Psalm 47. You can pick it up at verse 1. So, I want you to keep that. It's good. I want you to keep that last verse of Psalm 7 in your mind. Psalms 47 and 1. A song for the song to the chief musician, a song for the sons of Korah. Oh, clap your hands, all you people, shout unto Alahym with the voice of triumph. For Yahuwah Most High is terrible. He is a great king over all the earth. Now pause. In Psalm 73, it tells you that he is king over all the earth. It's fourth is the psalm that was David wrote for Solomon. You can see the same in regards to Adam. And you know that. You know what? Pause. Deuteronomy chapter. Because it said he's a great king over all the earth. So Deuteronomy chapter 10, probably about verse 14. Deuteronomy 10 and 14. Behold, the heaven and of the heaven, the heaven and the heaven of heavens is Yahuwah your Alahym. The earth also and all that is in within, all with all that therein is. Only Yahuwah had delight in your fathers to love them. He chose their seed after them, even you above all people as it is this day. Circumcise therefore the heart and be no more stiff-necked. For Yahuwah your Alahym is God of gods and Lord of lords, a great Alahym, a mighty, a terrible, which regard not persons nor take reward. I remember to tell you that in Revelation 22 that Yahushua gives every man according to his work shall be. So he doesn't regard persons. He is not a respecter of persons. When you look at regard, that is Nasah, and that is to lift up. He doesn't lift up anyone. The only way you'll be lifted up of him is if that you humble yourself unto him, and he will lift you up in due time because you humbled yourself as he humbled himself. But nevertheless, he tell you that he's Lord of lords, God of gods. Let's take a look at something, of course, that most of you already know. Revelation chapter 19. Oh, this go come into play when we look at the first and the last, and of course, a statement that you can pick it up 19 and 11. A statement of that Yahushua that we done dealt with in the past. Excuse me, my mind went blank, and that's which is he that is and was and is to come. And of course, if you remember, the beast's statement in that regard is just a tad bit different. And if you don't remember what that means, y'all willing, of course, we're going to revisit that. Verse 11 of Revelation 19. Remember what you also see in Psalm 7 about who are the Most High rendering wrath and recompense his enemies. And I saw Shamahim open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he do judge and make war. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns, and he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. He was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of Alahym. The armies which were in Shamahim followed him upon the white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. And out of his mouth go a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron. And he shall tread the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of the Almighty Alahym. And he had on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Now remember, right? It tells you that the same thing, that you could see this here in Deuteronomy. Now, of course, he's Lord of Lords. You know, he's Alahym of the Alahyms. And of course, he's the master of the masters. But the King of Kings is important because of Alahym, which is to be an exalted king. So I'm mentioning that because we're in Psalms 47. Let's return back to Psalms 47. Because remember, Yahushua's throne is exalted above everyone's throne who ever existed. Let's continue. Psalms 47 and 2. For Yahuwah Most High is terrible. He is a great king over all the earth. He shall subdue the people under us and the nations under our feet. He shall choose all inheritance for us, the excellency of Jacob, whom he loves, Selah. Alahym is gone up with a shout, and Yahuwah with the sound of a trumpet. Y'all already know that. You already know that on that great trump. He told you that in Matthew 24. You already know this. Sing praises to Alahym, sing praises. Sing praises unto our King, sing praises. For Alahym is King of all the earth. Sing you praises with understanding. Now remember, we just talked about how Yahuwah was our King and we rejected him. And that Yahushua was our King and we rejected him. And it is the same thing. Because this, remember, he said, behold, the King of the Yahudim. Because he will be like the Most High because his father is king. But he said his son to be king. He bequeathed all that to his son. That's why I mentioned that aspect with Joseph and Pharaoh. Let's take a look at Joseph and Pharaoh now. Genesis chapter 4. Then after that, John 14. Genesis chapter 41. Verse 39. 37, excuse me. Genesis 41 and 37. And the thing was good in the eyes of Pharaoh and the eyes of all his servants. Pharaoh said unto his servants, can we find such as one as this man? This is a man whom the Ruach of Alahym is. Pharaoh son unto Joseph, for as much as Alahym have showed you all this, there is none so discreet and wise as you are. You shall be over my house, and according unto your word shall all my people be ruled. Only in throne will I be greater than you. So again, both of them are kings. One's throne is greater than the others. But notice that he said, but according to your word shall my people be ruled. You understand? But of course, you know that Pharaoh's word, that Joseph's word is not going to differ from Pharaoh's word, just like you know that Yahushua's word does not differ from his Abba's word. Pharaoh said unto Joseph, see, I set you over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand and put it upon Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in vestures of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck. And he made him to ride in the second chariot which he had. And they cried before him, bow the knee. And he made him ruler over all the land of Mizraim. Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I am Pharaoh. Without you shall no man lift up his hand or foot in all the land of Mizraim. He said, can't nobody make no moves without you, boy. He said, boy, I'm the one who called the shots around here, and ain't nobody busting a move without you. See, this is the things that when a lot of people be like, oh, you can't worship Yahushua. Yeah, Pharaoh told all these people, you're going to bow the knee to Joseph, though. You're going to bow the knee to him. That's why when you see you, that's why when you see, what you call it? Isaiah 45, when he say, you know, every knee shall bow. And then you see that in the epistles referred to Mashiach, because it's the same person. Because the Father's giving witness that you're going to bow to Yahuwah, which is Yahushua. That's what you're going to do. Because I gave him rule. He king over the whole earth. You ain't got to like it, but that's what it is. Ain't nobody going to move unless Yahushua say move. Because the whole earth going to be ruled according to that word. That's why I say, if you don't believe me, you're not going to believe. If you don't believe me, you're not going to believe Moses. But Moses wrote of me. We saying the same word. We saying the same word. It don't make no difference. You ain't. That's why I say, my Father gave me a commandment, what I should say and what I should speak. I know a commandment, life everlasting. If you receive me, you receive him that sent me. If you rejected me, you're not. See, that's the key thing. That's why I sit back and tell you this here, man. It don't make no difference. Your friend, I don't care if it's a righteous man seek to be your husband. If you reject him and that man came from Alahym, then guess what? You just rejected the Father. You think somebody else come around to save you, boy? Well, you on crack. Boy, ain't nobody coming to save you, boy. Because he done already gave Joseph rule. I mean, he done gave Yahushua rule. And he ain't fooling with you. Because you wasn't fooling with him. I got me a man wise as he is. Got the Ruach of Alahym in him. I ain't got no time to fool with y'all. That's what I got Joseph for. He took it so far, he took his ring off his hand and put it on Joseph. You're going to get you that son. Now, when you sit back and look at that word there, it's Taba'ah. Amen, indeed. That's a signet ring as a symbol of authority. You got Tet, you got Bot, you got Ayin, and you got Tau. These are interesting things. See, now the son is contained. Now you've experienced, or you know that the son is contained in the covenant because of the authority of which he manifested in the earth. Remember what the people said. They say he don't speak like the tribe do. He speaks as one having authority. Who gave him the authority? When you see Pharaoh giving Joseph the ring, that's the same way when you see the father give a son the word. Son, take my ring. You got authority. Go rule. That's why he said what he said in John 5. The father then gave all power to the son. Come over here to John 5, man. Go on that John, man. That's why when we get to finish with this aspect, at least this evening, you can see that Yahushua is the Most High, as he's referred to in numerous verses. He's still the most. I don't take nothing away from the Father. I don't take nothing from him. He's because Yahushua is still the Most High over all the earth. But his Father is Most High over him. Man, baby, I'm already on that. You trying to hit me with that, baby? I was on that 2-3 days ago. You know what I'm saying? I already knew that. 5 and 19. Then answered Yahushua and said unto them, truly, truly, I say unto you, the Son can do nothing of himself, but what he see Abba do, what things soever he do, these also do the Son likewise. For the Abba loved the Son and show him all things that himself do, and he will show him greater works than these, that you may marvel. Verse 26 on general principle. We ain't gonna read it all. For as Abba have himself, so he's given the Son to have life in himself, and have given him authority to execute judgment also, because he is the Son of Man. You know what he said, right? Gave him authority to execute judgment, or to execute what's right and what's wrong. He gave him the ring. You understand? And he said, of course, he gave him fine linen. You could keep him with the fine linen in Daniel. Revelation, we look at a gold chain on his neck. He flossed with it. And he made him ride in the second chariot, sitting at the right hand. Y'all already know that. Bow the knee, made him rule. And he said, I am Pharaoh, and without you shall no man lift up his hand. Pharaoh means great house. Got Pei, Rosh, Ayin, and Hey. So now you can sit back that you know, behold, you know the words of the highest. You know, behold, and know the words of the highest. That's the only way that you can dwell in a great house. And who is that great house? For the sanctuary that Yahuwah have pitched, if you will, or the Lord have pitched, and not man. I thank the Lord. Isn't that a beautiful thing? And then, of course, lift up his room. Nobody is going to be able to rise up and be lofty in any aspect whatsoever without Joseph. Amen. Hallelujah. Indeed, no one will be able to do so. John chapter 14. John chapter 14, verse 16. You can make it verse 15. Ain't gonna hurt nobody. No, thank the Lord. John 14. Oh, so this page is just utterly destroyed. Actually, I don't need verse 15, but we can pick it up in 23. John 14. See, again, everything we looking at is to prepare you for you to take your stand. Take your stand. Now, of course, I know just simply by the word say, everybody won't have the sense of Alahym. And they're not going to stand. But my hope, my desire to our Alahym is that all of you will be able to take those stands. That you'll be able to. That's all the information is for. Everything that we look at, everything that we go through over the last 8 years that Yahusha, through the grace of our Alahym and Shamahim, has allowed us to see fit to be able to endeavor in, is to allow us to be prepared to take our stand for his name's sake. That's it. You know what I'm saying? There's no other reason. Yeah, we could get talk greasy and this, that, then the third, and that's really for our own entertainment. That's not really for anybody else. That's just an inside thing. Many people have came and many people have gone, and that just is what it is. That's just the nature of the business. But at the end of the day, everything is for us to take our stand. Now, as I say that, I'm thinking about a lot of things in my mind, whether it was times that was spent on the porch of Sundance going through word, times where they were spinning Justina going through word, times that were going through word when we lived in Vizcaya, times when we were going through word when we lived off Hartsfield, time when we were going through word when I was staying in San Marco and people came to the house for that. You know what I'm talking about? Times when we were going through word when we stayed off Sunbeam. Times when it was just me writing a little muffin when they stayed off on Bay Meadows. Times when we were going through word when they lived off in Charter Point. And then all the various other places that the work has been put out in the street. And it was all put out in the street for one reason and one reason alone. And that prepare us to be able to take our stand for this man's namesake. And that's it. It's nothing other than that. There is no other reason. It is for you to know him, to trust him, to love him, to lean on him, to be chastened by him, to be guided by him, to be taught by him, to be strengthened by him, and last and certainly not least, to be redeemed and be preserved by him. And you can only do that if that word is in your heart, that you're prepared to take your stand. That's it. That's the only way you can do it. That word has to be in your heart, and then you will be prepared to take your stand. There's no other way around it. There's no other way around it. Nevertheless, John chapter 14, verse 23. Yahusha answered and said unto him, if a man love me, he will keep my words, and my Abba will love him, and we will come unto him and make our abode with him. He that love me not, keep not my sayings, and the word which you hear is not mine, but Abba's which sent me. These things have I spoken unto you, being yet present with you. The Comforter, which is the Ruach HaKodesh, whom Abba will send in my name. He shall teach you all things and bring all things to your remembrance, whatsoever I have said unto you. Shalom, I leave with you. My shalom I give unto you. Not as the world give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. You have heard how I said unto you, I go away and come again unto you. If you love me, you will rejoice, because I said I go unto my Abba, for my Abba is greater than I. Now, of course, y'all already know this because we went over this in the past. You see that there with Pharaoh and Joseph, and we're not going to spend an inordinate amount of time with that. We're just looking at that in regards to the correlation of Yahushua being Yahuwah and being the Most High. You've seen that in Psalm 7. You've seen that in Psalms 47. You see how that went along with what was stated in Revelation 19 with him coming through with the execution of his wrath. You also seen that in Deuteronomy and the law, where say he's the God of gods and Lord of lords, and that he does not take reward nor regard of persons. Because in the day of the Lord, and it tells you this in Zephaniah, there's no silver that you give. He don't want your gold. He don't want absolutely nothing. If you're on the wrong side of the ledger, this man will sever your soul from your body and then cast you into a pit where the worm dies not and the fire shall not be quenched. All because that you had an evil heart of unbelief and counted the grace and mercy of the living Alahym as a vile and despicable thing that you cast under your foot and discarded out of your house. And you certainly should be fuel for the fire, and flames ought to be able to embark on every inch of your body and torment you for all eternity. Because you disregarded this man and said that he was a liar. You know what I'm saying? All the other stuff people got going on, man, being a homosexual, transsexual, fornicator, adulterer, liar, thief, all that done. Yeah, that's all despicable, indeed. But for anybody to sit back and have a heart to say that the living Alahym is a liar and that he felt the need to lie to men ought to be tormented. You know what I'm saying? Ought to be. That's my humble opinion, respectfully. But you ought to burn in hell for it. You know what I'm saying? Because this man ain't no liar. Dudes be talking about who wrote the Bible and all this other stuff be coming. At the end of the day, nigga, go to hell. Then wake up and go to the lake. You ought to die and then wake up and die again. Because when I say go to hell, I'm talking about the grave. You ought to die for that. You ought to die for that. Disrespecting this man. For sizing this man. When all this man wanted to do was make you like him. He loved you enough to manifest himself in the flesh and be put to death to be justified by the Ruach, of which he did not have to do. Made himself to be nothing in order that you might be wealthy. Abdicated everything that he possessed in Shamahim to make himself lesser in order to give it to you. And you reject that. How is that possible? And we say we have understanding. How is that possible? And see, that goes back to when you understand that, what I just mentioned, that you will make all things new and let those old things be passed away because you understand what he was doing. That was kind of what the symbolic nature of what the flood was. That I'm going to let old things pass away and make all things new. With Shem, Ham, and Japheth, or Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I'm going to make all things new. That's all it's always been about. Get rid, purge out what's old, and that's why I say get the old leaving out and make yourself a new lump. Old things pass away. That is the aspect of seeing life coming from death or light coming from darkness. Old things pass away, all things become new. You know what I'm saying? And when we're talking about old things passing away, it's not just your sin. When you talk about your sin, everything is passed away. Everything that was tied to those sins, the mentality that was tied to those sins, the emotions that were tied to those sins, the thought process that was tied to those sins, the people that were tied to those sins, the places that were tied to those sins. Anything that you can think of in any shape, form, the pain that was tied to those sins. the folly, the foolish, whatever you could think of, that junk is gone now. And it's just simply a new creature. Just simply a new creature. A new creature that is made in the likeness and resemblance of the living Alahym, that walks in newness of life, which is to the delight of the living Alahym. This is how you have to approach when you come in to lay them burdens down and to set aside the weight and the sin that easily besets you so you can run the race with. Let's come to Psalms 83 so we can get out of here for the evening. Because I had it in my mind that I was just going to be inordinately long. But I give praise to Alahym that we did not do that because that was not necessary. I just felt like that because the trap was closed. Do that. To do that. Oh, that still hurt. Psalms 83, and when I start at the top, y'all know Psalms 83. I'm not focusing on the general consensus with this verse. So if you hear that, don't ask me, because yeah, I don't care. We're not here to talk about Esau and what Esau doing. Nobody cares about Esau and they crafty counsel. Don't care. Psalms 83 and 1. Keep you not, O silence, O Alahym, hold not your shalom, and be not still, O Alahym, for lo, your enemy take atonement. They that hate you have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against your people and consulted against your hidden ones. Notice that he say that they have taken crafty counsel and lifted up the head. When we look at crafty, it is a ram, and that is to be shrewd. You understand? To be subtle. You can sit back and you can see that in regards to the scribes and Pharisees doing that to Yahusha, and you can look at that in regards to what the people gonna do when it comes down to going against Mashiach, getting down with the beast. When you look at hidden ones, that is Safan, and that is to hide treasure or hide from discovery. Now remember, right, you treasure in Shamahim to Alahym. Again, this side pay at noon. So these are people that know the words of the way of life. That's who they're consulting against. Because remember, he go to make war with the remnant of her seed. You understand? But let's keep on rolling. They say, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Yasharal may be no more in remembrance. So, of course, you know, just every brew favorite thing. So they don't want you to know you in Israel. Let me tell you something. These people did not cut you off. Did not cut off the name of Yasharal. You can't even see anywhere in history where they purposely did it because they didn't care. You know why they didn't have to do it? Because you niggas wanted to be everything else. When you look at that latter time, because remember, they wanted to cut off the name of Yahusha, man, and that his name would cease from remembrance. You go pay attention to how the scribes and Pharisees felt about him. They didn't want you to remember that name. What you think the beast's gonna be doing? He wants to strike the name of Yahusha from the lexicon. Tell you you can't mention the name of no other God but him. Play with it. Play with it if you want to. He said they consulted together. They have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against you. Now I'm gonna ask y'all a question, right? Confederate is bereft. That's a covenant, alliance, or pledge. Now if we go read Revelation, ain't we gonna read how all these nations came together as one to give their power over to the beast so they can make war with the lamb? Somebody tell me if we can read that or not. If we can't read it, let's prove that we can read it. Can we read that somewhere? Can somebody confirm that? That's all I want to know. Can someone confirm that we can read that all the nations of the earth are going to be confederate against you? Because when it say against you, these people, he's not talking about Yasharal. Don't let nobody make a fool out of you, man. This man said, oh, Alahym, hold not your shalom, be not still, Alahym, for your enemies make atonement, and they that hate you have lifted up the head. This man wrote this song. This song about Alahym. This song ain't about you. And all that takes is just simply read it. Let me read verse 1 to you again so you can see. Keep not, O silence, O Alahym, hold not your shalom, be not still, O Alahym, for lo, your enemies make atonement, and they that hate you have lifted up the head. Then he says they've taken crafty counsel against your people and consulted against your treasure. Then he say, let's cut them off. Then he said they have consulted together with one consent. They confederate against you, not against Yasharal, against Alahym. Revelation 17. That's why I tell you, these dudes trash with it. These dudes work trash. These dudes is trash, man. They trash. They trash. And that ain't even got to have no deep level of understanding. That just takes simple reading comprehension. See, you're not going to see that. You're not going to see that reading comprehension when when somebody got you amped up and thinking, yeah, they done cut us off. They plotting against us. Nigga, they ain't talking about you, niggas. So against you for what? Who are you? Who are you to do that to? You're no one. But Alahym, on the other hand, the God of gods, the Alahym of Alahyms, the King of kings and the Lord of lords. Now him on the other hand. Him on the other hand. Indeed. 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 They mentioned that they wanted to cut off the name of Yasharal. It is referring to he that rules with Alahym instead of the literal people. Because you are a nation. Remember, it's not seeds of many, but seeds of one. That seed being Mashiach. And that's who they want to cut off from remembrance. Because they go to make war with the remnant of a seed to eliminate her from the earth. Because let's remember now, again, see, because we still have to go through that. The beast gonna stand up and say he God. So if you stand up and saying that Yahushua is Alahym, not only that he Alahym, but Alahym manifested in the flesh, then that would be contrary to what this man is propagating, and therefore he would need to cut you off from out of the earth. I keep telling you, the end is not about people going to war with Israel because you Israel. That is irrelevant. That's like going down with the fact, are you going to worship Yahuwah or not? You going to bow down to the idol, or you going to be rooted and stand firm and take your stand in the name of Alahym? Thank you, Lord. See, this one here, this going to offend people, and I'm here for it. Revelation 17:9. Shoot, make it 8, man. The beast that you saw was and is not, remember I mentioned that earlier, shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. They that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. Y'all remember, he was, but he's not Alahym, yet he's portraying himself to be Alahym. Y'all willing, we'll go into that more deeper on Shabbat and during Tabernacles. Well, we already went through it before, but we'll rehash that. And here's the mind which have wisdom. Matter of fact, for those who don't know, who may be on here and don't know why that is important, the was, the is not, and yet is, come over here to Revelation chapter 1, because I don't want to leave you thinking, well, why is that so important? And that he's pressing on that, because there's people on here who already know why. Make sure I got the verse right. Come over here to Revelation chapter 1. But there's a statement in that regard with Yahushua. And you have to be careful with that because the wording is different. And if you don't understand the difference in the wording, that was right the first time I'm looking right at it. Revelation 1 and 6. You'll see the variance in the wording and why it is important for you to understand the variance in the wording. Revelation 1, you can make it 1 and 4. John to the 7 houses which are in Asia, grace be unto you and shalom from him which is and which was and which is to come. Which is that he existed in eternity before his manifestation on the earth. Which was because he was manifested in the flesh, which is to come, because he is, remember, he was Alahym. Remember, because in the beginning was the word, and the word was Alahym, and the word was with Alahym, which was because Alahym was manifested in the flesh, which is to come, because Alahym is to be manifested, to come, to return and rule on the earth, according to what we read in Psalm 7 and Psalms 47, along with Genesis 40. So let's continue. And from Yahushua HaMashiach, and the seven Ruachs which are before his throne, and from Yahushua HaMashiach, who is the faithful witness, the first begotten of the dead, the prince of the kings of the earth, which takes you to Elyon again, or the Most High. Unto him that loved us and washed us from our sins in his own blood. And he has made us kings and priests under our Alahym and his Abba. To him be esteem and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Behold, he come with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Even so, amen. I am Aleph and the Tah, the beginning and the ending, saith the Lord, which is, which was, and which is to come, the Almighty. So again, which is, existed in Shamahim, or Yahuwah possessed me in the beginning of his way, which was, Alahym was manifested in the flesh, which is to come, Alahym shall return. So when you come back to Revelation 17 and 8, and you say, they behold the beast that was and is not, yet is. He was, because he was in Shamahim, because of who is in him, which is Satan. You understand? But he's not Alahym, but yet he is portraying himself to be Alahym. Got to make sure you understand that. You understand? Come back here, verse 9, Revelation 17. And here's the mind which have wisdom, the seven heads of the seven mountains on which the women sit. And there are seven kings, five are fallen, one is, the other is not yet come. And when he come, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the eighth, and the seventh go into perdition. 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. They have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. And he said to them, the waters which you saw where the horse sit are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. The 10 horns which you saw upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and then naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Alahym have put it into their hearts to fulfill his will and to agree and to give their kingdom unto the beast, and to the words of Alahym should be fulfilled. So again, and it's been a while. We didn't did this with Psalms 83 before, but it's been some years. Nah, man. That's not them trying to hide your nationality, man. That's nigga doctrine. Back to Psalms 83. That's nigga doctrine. And trash nigga doctrine at that. Super trash. You know what I'm talking about? That's bad, though, man. You take that to the back. You ain't OD off that. There ain't no blue magic. Psalms 83 and 5, man. He said, for they've consulted together one consent. They are confederate against you, the tabernacles of Edom, the Ishmaelites of Moab and Hagarenes, Ebal and Ammon and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Ashur is joined with them. And they have hope in the sons of Lot, Selah. Unto them is unto the Midianites. As to Sisera, y'all know the Midianites. You know who Sisera is. Sisera is who's in Judges chapter 4. That's the dude who the lady put the nail in his forehead. And to Jabon at the brook of Kishon. If you don't know these, which perished at Endor, they became as the dungs of the earth. Now y'all go read about these people, and you're going to see that these people Yahuwah came to see for selling out about him, and therefore wanting to do harm to his people because they had a problem with him. Let's continue. Make their nobles like Orab and like Zeb, yea, all their princes as Zebah and as Zalmunna, who said, let us take to ourselves the houses of Alahym in possession. O my Alahym, make them like a wheel, as the stubble before the wind, as fire burn a wood, and as the flame set the mountains on fire. So persecute them with your tempest, and make them afraid with your storm. Y'all already know how the book say the man coming back, and you know the man coming back with fire and with a sword, to plead with all flesh, and the slain of Yahuwah shall be many. Y'all already know that. And then you already know from what you just read in Revelation 19 that Isaiah 66 and 15 is Yahushua, because Yahushua is Yahuwah, because Alahym was manifested in the flesh, because Yahushua is the Most High. But he's not the Most High, because there's an Alahym that is higher than him. I thank the Lord. Fill their faces with shame that they may seek your name, O Yahuwah. Let them be confounded and troubled forever, and yea, let them be put to shame and perish, that y'all be wailing and gnashing of teeth, that men may know that you, whose name alone is Yahuwah, are the Most High over all the earth. And y'all already know what it is for Most High. It is Elyon again, the highest of ruler, monarch, or angel princes, a king exalted above all monarchs, the highest or the Most High. And that is Yahushua. And it says specifically of David as being the highest monarch with that. That's specifically, and you can see that is Yahuwah, which is Yahushua, which is Alahym manifested in the flesh, which means that he would be Elyon. You ain't got to like it. But that's what the book say. Remember, he said, if you believe Moses, you believe me because he wrote of me. And he said, he opened up the scriptures and the laws of Moses and in the Psalms and in the prophets, the things concerning himself. And they opened their understanding that they might understand the scriptures. And that's it. Simple and plain. So with that being said, blessed be the name of the living Alahym by way of his only begotten son, Yahushua HaMashiach. I appreciate y'all time this evening and bless y'all soul out the house of Yahuwah. In the name of Yahushua, thank the Lord, trap was open. You know what I'm saying? We had to close up shop, but thank the Lord we open tonight though. You know what I'm talking about? Truth be told, we could be open every day, but I can't stream every day because y'all niggas can't deal with all that. Maybe one day when the time Yahuwah permit, we will literally do that, if that be Yahuwah's will. Prayerfully, y'all understood all that. But most importantly, I want y'all to consider a myriad of things. Hallelujah, indeed. Shalom, man. One of the things that I want you to understand is, one, be a new creature and let that old stuff pass away. Let that stuff go where it's supposed to go. Let that stuff be where it's supposed to be. Be the Dhamma and be in his likeness and in his image and in his resemblance. You understand? And then you sit back and you'll see that. Remember, because he already told you you'll rule and be a king with it. You'll be Elyon right with him. You know what I'm saying? Like it's all the same word. It's tying into the same thing. That we all supposed to have that same heart, mind, and way. And that's the way of his father. That we all supposed to look like him. You know what I'm saying? That we all supposed to resemble him. In the same way that old things passed away, that body of flesh, and he came up out that grave, flesh and bone, and not flesh and blood. You know what I'm saying? And put on an esteemed body and let that old thing pass away, or let that body of Adam pass away. Let that stuff pass away and be new. That's the objective. And let me tell you something, man, because I didn't have people over the course of years, not recently, but I'm just thinking about it right now. It's coming to mind. You know what I'm saying? I know the adversary make you feel like you're not worthy. That's why the adversary always come at you on some stuff. Are you focusing on the negative things of your physical existence, whatever those things may be, whether it be trauma, you know what I'm saying, whether it be certain experiences, decisions, whatever the case may be. All that is the tricks and the ploys of the enemy to cause you to not become a new creature and let them old things pass away. That's all that's for. Because if you look, and I still didn't mention what I wanted to mention with that cloud that I mentioned Monday, but you were willing, I get it tomorrow. I ain't got no choice but to get it tomorrow, to be told. He does that in this regard, because you notice Yahuwah don't do that. Yahuwah's not going to be sitting around talking about you ain't did this and you ain't did that, or whatever the case may be. Oh, you remember when you did this, and that junk gone as far as he's concerned. You're a new creature, you're a new creature. It's not mentioning all of that. So you have to understand that's the tricks, ploys, and machinations of the wicked one, of the whisperer, of the slanderer. You understand? make you harp on that and keep on carrying that weight. So you can't run your race. So you can't get to the finish line. So your boat sink. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Whole nigga, man. I've been telling y'all that for years. You're a buster. But again, you who are willing, we pick it up on tomorrow about 2:15, 2:30. You know what I'm saying? Then we're gonna pick it up again at about 8 o'clock for our beginning of our observation of tabernacles. And of course, every night, with the exception of the Sabbath, regular Sabbath, still be 9 o'clock during that time period. But every other night be 7:30. So that following next Friday, y'all willing, still be 9 o'clock. That Saturday evening to begin that last one, it'll be about 8 o'clock. You know what I mean? So but every other night, the weekdays and all that, it'd be 7:30. We make it do what it do. So again, blessings out the house of Yahuwah, name of Yahushua, man. Who are willing till tomorrow, and we're gonna make it do what it do.